Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Icon. Thanks for checking out another episode. And today, we're not doing esports analysis. As soon as this interview dropped, I can't tell you how many comments I've had, how many people want me to respond to what Arcitys said in this podcast with Benson, Miles, and Momo. So, for those of you that don't know, Arcitys went on this podcast. I just took a screen cap of it, and I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to play the direct clips, but you can bet we're going to talk about it. So this starts off kind of easy. You know, there's some joking around and stuff like that. But one of the first things that Arcitys says, and this was a quote, they kind of asked him, what's going on? Why aren't you guys performing? And he said, quote unquote, we don't know how to play the game. And then there's some more laughing and some more joking. And Miles is like, well, wait. Let's set the record straight a little bit. That seems like a really outlandish comment for you to say. What do you mean you don't know how to play the game? And then Arcitys responds, and this is the most glaring thing that I heard in the entire interview. He goes, Monday. So like just a few days ago, he says Monday was the first time the entire staff. So when he's talking about staff, he means Sender, General, and Tupac, their coaching staff. And the rest of the team, so all 8 of them, the 5 players, the 3 coaches, Monday, just a few days ago, was the first time all 8 of them went into a private lobby and discussed SND strats. Are you guys hearing this correctly? A few days ago was the first time this organization went into a private match and discussed what they should do in Search and Destroy. If I'm an investor, if I'm an owner that put $30 million into this organization and the Call of Duty League in the future and whatever, and I heard that, somebody's getting fired. I'm getting rid of somebody. And I don't know if it's the coaches. I don't know if it's the players not being there or not wanting to or whatever, but somebody needs to go because that's unacceptable. I can tell you for a fact that that is not happening with Minnesota. And everybody's, whoa, why is Minnesota so good? Nobody expected them to be where they are. If you go back and watch our interview that we did with our podcast with Ashley from Minnesota, so Midnight from Minnesota, she's talking about how the culture there is just unbelievable, and they show up and they go in their rooms and they play every day and they meet with the coaches. And that was one of the biggest things that I took away from her interview was that up in Minnesota, they are grinding because they want to be the best. And you put $30 million forward, and these guys aren't even going into a private match and saying, hey, maybe you should go there and this person should get this line of sight because if this happens, then now we're set. I mean, that should happen like in the first week when you figure out what the competitive maps and modes are. As soon as you figure it out, you should be going in there and you should be thinking about every single thing you could possibly think about. This is not a game battles team. This is an organization that put forth $30 million and they're not doing that. For those of you that don't know, I have a past in really high-level coaching, and if you're not spending 20 or 30 or 40 minutes a day just doing that, then you're not doing it correctly. If you're not saying, okay, we start scrimming at 2:30, from 1:30 to 2 every day, we're going to rep S&D strats. If you're not doing that, then somebody needs to go. And listen, I might take some flack for this, but I've been watching competitive Call of Duty since the very beginning. Since we're talking before Optic got really huge, before Nadeshot earned his Red Bull sponsorship, before 6050 Russell Drive, before all of that happened. And I can tell you for a fact, outside of the Optic Dynasty years, this has been the MO inside of Hex organizations. And I know wherever Hex goes, he's done so much for the community. He's been the one that puts his teams out there. That's why they have the biggest fandom. That's why so many people watch them. But when they have the best talent and they're never competing just look at last year. Last year, they started off Black Ops 4. They won the first tournament. Everything's great. What happened the rest of the year? They became complacent. Nobody was showing up for scrims. Everybody was late. They canceled scrims, blah, blah, blah. The whole story is repeating itself. So let's fast forward to some more things that Arcitys said. This is a direct quote. He says, I've never dealt in my career with people waking up 5 minutes before scrims. And then there's some laughing and there's some joking around. And Miles is like, well, can you give us like names? Who exactly are you talking about? And he says, former And the second one that he said I was a little bit surprised with, but the other one was Gunless. I figured Gunless would be one that's a real stickler, right? He's one that's keeping people on time where they need to be and what they need to be going over. But hearing those two names, what are you going to do? I mean, if you look at the challenger scene, we just saw in the last couple weeks, Chicago could not win a map against a lot of these amateur squads. Leading up to CDL Dallas, this is why I didn't pick them to win CDL Dallas, because when they faced off against Triumph or Team Singularity or the FaZe Academy team, they couldn't beat them. At the very most, they would win 1 or 2 games. And I know because I struggled to find a game that they did really well at. Because when I upload to my channel, people want to see them win, and it's easier to break down exactly what they're doing when they're winning. It was hard to find a match of them winning. And now it's kind of easy to see, right? Nobody's there on time. Nobody's breaking down the film. There's no team meetings. There's no VOD reviews. None of that is happening. And that just kind of sums up what's going on with Chicago in a nutshell. So those are like the most glaring things that I came across in this interview. But Arcitys said a few other things that to me seemed a lot like excuses. For example, he said, one, well, we're just kind of trying to work on becoming better friends outside of game. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. If you're there and you're practicing and you're showing up and you're taking leadership roles and you're listening to those that are telling you what to do, sure. Do you want to be friends with the person sitting next to you? Absolutely. But do you have to be best buddies and live together and go to dinner together and whatever? No. You just have to know what everybody's doing on a map. So to me, that's an excuse. And then the other thing he said is that we tend to play better against teams that are as good as us. Then we play down to teams that are worse than us. So that's the typical, playing down to your competition or playing up to your competition. That's been known in traditional sports forever. That's an excuse. If you're prepared and you go out and you know what you're doing, you know what your teammates are doing, and you know your strategies, and hey, on this round of Search and Destroy, let's do this strat, then none of that other stuff matters. So I just feel like that's a lot of, we just need to become better friends and then everything will be fine. No, that's an excuse. You know what you need to do? From 1 to 130, you need to have hardpoint review. And then 130 to 2, you need to have Search and Destroy review. And then from 2 to 230, you need to have Dom review. And then before that, you need to have an SMG meeting. And then before that, you need to have an AR meeting so that when it's time to go at 230, you guys know what you have to work on when it goes into scrims. No, you know what they're doing? They're waking up at 2:25 and turning on their Xbox and, all right, well, I haven't really woken up. I haven't gotten coffee. I haven't eaten. I haven't whatever. Let's go ahead. Let's play a scrim, and hopefully everything that was wrong yesterday is going to be better today. That is not how it works. So listen, guys, this is the first time that I've really dived into stuff like this just because it really works me up. It really gets under my skin when you're getting the salaries that they're getting. You're in the position that you're in, that there are, believe me, there are tons of people that would love to be in their position, and this is what they're doing with their opportunity. It just drives me crazy, and if I'm somebody like Andy Miller, so the CEO of NRG, and I put money like this forward for these guys to be in this league, somebody's leaving. And if you're not there on time and you're not doing what you're supposed to do and you missed the hardpoint review from 1:30 to 2 before scrims, then you know what? Here's your one chance. You do it again, you're getting fired. This stuff just drives me crazy. This is why people don't take competitive Call of Duty and competitive esports as seriously as they should. Because you know what? If Baker Mayfield, and I say Baker Mayfield just because I'm from Cleveland, if Baker Mayfield misses 2 practices in a row or something like that, he's sitting the bench. And if he does it longer, he's getting traded. So I don't know, guys. I just had to put that out there. I watched this and I was just fuming by the end of it. This is a video where if you have any comments whatsoever, please put them down below. I'm really interested in what you guys have to say. Make sure you leave a like on this video. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. If you like that I'm doing stuff like this, let me know that also, because I really like to just break down gameplay and just leave the rest of this out of it. But if you want to hear my thoughts on more stuff like this, please let me know. Maybe we can work towards that. So thank you guys so much for all of your support. I will catch you in tomorrow's upload.